We are featuring three catalyst leaders who are visionaries in business, and they're trailblazers, breaking barriers and shattering glass ceilings, along with opening the doors for generations to come. My name is Teresa Palacios Smith, and I'm Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer for HomeServices of America and HSF affiliates. And this show is about sitting down with our leaders who are going to share how they are leaving an indelible mark, inspiring others with their actions and their unwavering determination to make a difference. So join me in welcoming today our special guests, our catalyst leaders. With me, I have Cara Milgate, and Cara is Vice President and Sales Manager for Intero in the San Francisco Bay Branch office, which has closed over $1.22 billion. That's right, $1 billion in sales and assisted over 1,200 buyers and sellers. She has a 32-year background, which includes president and owner of a successful mortgage and real estate company, along with working with the foreclosure prevention with a law firm during the country's housing crisis. Cara has served in numerous community roles, including Director of the Chamber of Commerce, Women's Council Realtors, the Intero Foundation, and has conducted hundreds of trainings to help agents and loan officers, along with consumers, navigate the real estate landscape. Welcome, Cara, to the show.
Thank you.
Excited to have you. And today we also have Susan Pitcher. And Susan serves in a dual capacity as the President and CEO of Berkshire Hathaway HomeServices Beazley Realtors and Vice President and CFO of Beazley Homes, which is their new construction company. Both are located in Augusta, Georgia, and Susan has over 20 years of experience in real estate and has held numerous roles with her accounting background. She started her career path in new construction, and from there rose up on the ranks by learning the business from the ground up, even going back to school so she could attain the credentials she needed to succeed in the business. And she has a huge mentor we're going to talk about later in the call who really kind of helped her in developing her role. She's a huge advocate for diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives and a catalyst for change in her organization and in the real estate industry. And I'm so proud to have you as well, Susan, on the show. So welcome.
Thank you very much, Teresa. I'm happy to be here.
And Sylvia Sotelo-Kidd. And Sylvia, and I've always called you Sylvia Soto, but it's Sylvia Sotelo-Kidd. I love that. Sylvia is the sales leader and diversity, equity, and inclusion officer for the Ebby Halliday companies, where she leads two of the company's offices located in the Rockwall area of Texas. Sylvia is the recipient of numerous awards and honors, including being the first recipient, and I love this, of the Yellow Rose of Distinction Award, which recognizes her numerous significant contributions to the community and the impact on the lives she has on others. She's also served on numerous boards, including the Mayor's Task Force for the Homeless. I think that's so impressive. Chair of the Hispanic 100, Chair of the Momentum Texas, past president of the Dallas Summit, and past chairman of the Rockwall Chamber of Commerce. She's also been honored by being selected to the National Latina Leadership Institute, which I know is very prestigious because they only select one of 20 candidates nationwide every year. So that's so impressive, which is an intensive 4-week leadership program in political and educational centers across the nation. She's a graduate of Leadership Dallas and Leadership Rockwell, and currently member of the Rockwall Chamber of Commerce and chair of the Leadership Rockwell alumni. And that's so impressive. Your background, Sylvia, is really cool. And now you can see, right, most Latinas are not blonde-haired and blue eyes. You've got blue eyes, or the brown. You don't see that. So welcome. I'm excited to have you all on the show. Thank you, Sylvia.
Such an honor to be here.
I'm excited, and I really can't wait to talk to all of you because I really, really select what every title is every single time because, it's such, you are all our catalysts. I know you each personally, and I really love all that you're doing in your marketplace and within your organizations. But the question I always ask everyone is, how did you get started in this business, right? Because it is not, some people say it was by choice, some by chance. And I'm going to start with you, Sylvia. How did you get started in real estate?
Well, I will tell you that it was a fluke, honestly. I've been in real estate since 2002, and I was the director of operations and finance at the Greater Dallas Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And I met a woman who was in real estate. She looked at me, she said, "You need to be in real estate." And I went, "Oh, okay." She goes, "You've been on so many board of directors. You work with entrepreneurs. You work out in the community. You work with corporate America. And I see you as someone who could continue building those relationships, and real estate's the key for you." And I went, "Oh, okay." Never in my world, I never thought I'd get in real estate, but here I am, and I have never looked back.
I love that. And a lot of people don't realize, because my connection to where I am today is also with the chamber. So it was the Georgia Hispanic Chamber of Commerce where I first, was able to get into a leadership role as chair of that organization, which led me to other opportunities. So it really is a great connecting point, as well as the individuals that you meet in small business really help you as well succeed in our business and the spheres that you create. So that's exciting, Sylvia. How about you, Susan?
Well, I started in real estate because I was selected by Mrs. Beazley to be her successor. I was working for the new homes builder, Bill Beazley Homes, and I just moved up in ranks, like you mentioned earlier.
And I love that somebody, I think sometimes we talk about sponsorship, because sponsorship is really more than just mentorship. Sponsorship is when somebody really elevates you and does everything that they can to put you in the role to help you succeed, not just mentors, but recommends you. And I know that she did a lot for you. And we'll talk more about when mentorship comes up, because I think that's really an important part of all of us succeeding in our businesses today. And Cara, how about you?
I was my fourth year in college, and I had a part-time job in a bank working in the loan department. And I simply fell in love with financing and lending. I was majoring in computer science. So everything got turned upside down, and I went full-time with the bank. I shifted within a couple of years to a mortgage company. In 1989, I got my real estate license, and then I moved from there to another mortgage company where I only lasted 2 weeks. I had a very bad experience. So that was a catalyst that said, okay, I'm just going to do this on my own. And I started my own company and did that for about 20 years. My current role is with Intero, and I'm vice president sales manager, as you mentioned, and I manage about 100 realtors and 4 staff members. Very happy where I'm at in my life.
I love it. And you have such a beautiful story too, of how you've really faced adversity. It made me cry when I heard it. And so I really want to share all of your short stories and the journey that you had into becoming this catalyst leader that you are today. And so what were some of your challenges that you faced, and how did you overcome them? And Cara, again, I'll start with you, because I think it really does, lend itself to really truly a passion as well.
Yes, and so I put a lot of thought into this this meeting, and it was interesting because everything seems to go back to your childhood. And so the catalyst in my life was I came from a very modest upbringing. My dad was killed by a drunk driver when I was 9, and what happened at that point, that was a catalyst when I was very young. And my mom moved us up to a small town in the mountains. At that point, I started working at a young age, probably 10, 11, 12. It's kind of funny, some of the first jobs I had, but I needed to work, and I loved to work, and my family needed to work, me to work as well. But anyways, I felt a deep responsibility to take care of my mom and my younger brothers and sisters. And that really created who I became as I got older as well. I must thank, my mom, who instilled that we could do anything regardless of the financial situation, gave us a lot of confidence, all my brothers and sisters, and also to get me to come down to the Bay Area, which was about a 4-hour drive. A family that was moving back down to the Bay Area asked me to come down and go to, at that time it was called Cal State Hayward, and let me stay with them to get my, just to get kind of sorted and figure out what I was going to do. And then another family took me in when I was going through my freshman year in college and charged me $100 a month, and included food, by the way. And so that's how I got through college. So, I'm just very grateful. And ever since then, I want to give back and help. And because I was given an opportunity that not too many people, I think, get. So.
And I know that you do give back a lot to the people that work with you. And I think you're an inspiration to so many because of the background and because of all the things you have. How many brothers and sisters?
I have 4. One passed away, but we are also all adopted. So that is an element. And we all have, when you get to that question as far as diversity, I've experienced that as well. So, there's just my brothers and sisters were still close today. And I still feel the same urge and responsibility and to take care of them. So it's been a really cool situation.
And I know you're a role model to all of us and to them as well. So I really appreciate you sharing that. Sylvia, how about you?
Well, I will tell you that I was in practicing real estate for 10 years. And then I was asked if I wanted to lead an office. And there are crossroads that all of us face at one time, right? It's like, do I stay and do what I really love doing, or do I go and meet another challenge? And it was one of the harder decisions I've ever had to make. And I decided that I was going to go ahead and take a leadership role. And I have never looked back. The other challenge to that, though, Teresa, is that I took a leadership role in an area that I knew nothing about. So I didn't know the community, I didn't know the market, I didn't know the agents. And, you just have got to go out there and say, I'm here and I'm going to make the best of it. And I got involved with the chamber and eventually became the chair, like you said, and over the alumni program, the leadership alumni. And then I worked very, very closely with our associates to earn their respect, their trust, their acceptance. And it was just one of the best things I'd ever done. But once again, all of us go through these kinds of decision points, right? And you never know whether it's the right one or not. But whatever you decide to do, you just embrace it, you just move forward, and you just do it with gusto. And that's exactly what I did. And it's the best thing I've ever done, again, besides just getting into real estate, right?
And I love your story. And for people that don't know this, it's really difficult to become a chair of anything. There's a lot of roles, and there's a lot of, you have to be voted in. The leadership course that you took, I was also leadership Atlanta. I wasn't able to complete the course, and so I couldn't take off. But I know it's really difficult to get invited to those. So I commend you for all that work. And I think the best part of you is you have such a great attitude and such a phenomenal personality that I could see how easy you were able to adapt. And I think the best leaders make those that have that experience, that have walked that, that same path that agents have walked before, because a lot of times if you don't have an experience, you really don't know what it entails. And it's a tough business. And so I really admire you as well. And then Susan, how about you?
Well, some of my biggest challenge, I was just talking to our broker, Cara Jeffries, the other day, and is really about my mindset, because growing up, I never really believed that I could later support myself. Like I always thought you had to have 2 incomes. And I didn't make that realization until I was in my 20s. And I don't know that it wasn't a conscious thought, but one of my neighbors said, hey, I'm selling this unnamed brand of makeup and I need to bring someone to my meeting. Will you come with me and you'll get a free lipstick? And I was like, yeah, sure. And that salesperson that was trying to get you to sign up to be a consultant said all these things. She asked me, she says, well, don't you want us to be able to support yourself? And I was like, I don't think I would ever be able to support myself. And then later, after I said that, I was like, why wouldn't I? I can. And so that was started a big mind shift change for me. And it wasn't anything that anybody ever specifically told me. It was just why did I think that? I guess because both of my parents always worked. But yeah, so that was one of my big challenges. It's just my mindset, getting over that hump of I can do things.
And
I can
Susan,
do
you're
things
the
by-
CFO and president of a powerful company in Augusta. And I will tell you, that is so common. And I'm so glad you shared it with our audience, because it is so common, especially in minority communities, that we believe we cannot do it on our own. I recently experienced the loss of my husband, and we have always been a dual income family. And so to me, I feel the same fears that you have stated, I feared as well. And so, certainly I do really appreciate it. And I really want people to know you can do it. And this is the best business for us to be able to do it, because the sky's the limit as far as income potential, as long as you work hard and have that spear and really work that spear. It really does help you to be in the business and also to succeed in it and to make a really great living advising others, and the biggest investment that they're going to have, and the most important investment in their life. So I really appreciate all of you sharing. Real estate is extremely evolving. We all know that, right? And right now, I think that it's one of those difficult challenges because there's a lot of disruption in the market. There's interest rates rising. There's low inventory. So and anyone that wants to answer this, please feel free to do that. How do you stay ahead of that and lead your team through those changes? Because I know sometimes we get that negative downers, in our office that we just kind of want to inspire. So Susan, I'll start with you.
Well, I think real estate is ever changing, right? And you really have to be able to embrace new technology. You have to be willing to change things quickly, but also fail quickly if you need to, and change again. But the new technology, like for instance, back in the day, then we had the MLS notebooks. And so if you couldn't get over that hump to now being on the internet, you would be really, really stuck. So I think technology is a big way that we're going to have to really change, and looking at AI, and we see how technology is disrupting our industry right now as well. So we just have to be able to take a look at things and really fully investigate them, and then make changes, fail quickly if you need to.
And I think it's so true. And for those out there that have never seen the big books that Susan's talking about, because we have more experience, we've been in the business for a long time. Everything used to be in a big book, and you had to borrow it and, check it out just to make sure that listings were all under one roof. And that way you could share those listings with the buyers out there. And now with the advent of technology, it really has made our lives so much better and really consumer friendly, so that so those that out there can actually easily access homes that we can help provide them access to. Cara, how about you? And you're on mute, so yeah.
Yes, I just got myself. Well, I seem to thrive when the market shifts or something comes up that is challenging in our market. It's like this inner side of me just jumps into action. And I think that's part of a very important part of a leader, is to be able to lead your people and be calm and give them alternatives. I mean, it helps that I've been in the business for 34 years, obviously, but obviously that comes from my background as well, having to fend for myself when I was in my teens. But it's really important that you keep your team engaged, let them feel your energy, your positivity, and everything has a solution. Also, I looked at disruptions as far as opportunities. There's always opportunities and disruptions, and there's always advantages. We just have to focus on those and stay positive. So that's pretty much how I lead my team, and so far, so good.
And you've led through really tough times, because going through the preservation and through the, when the country was having its toughest time in real estate, I think you did so much work in getting people help and helping them save their homes, which is a big deal. And also short sales and all that, which was a new thing for all of us. I mean, you had to jump quickly and understand that business, just like we're doing today. Right, Sylvia, how about you?
Absolutely. I remember doing short sales and foreclosures and in the 2008, 9, and 10. But I do want to say one thing, that real estate is ever evolving. And I think Susan said that it's just constantly evolving. And I will say that it's either a good market or a bad market, but it's a market. And there has been sales even in good times and in bad times. There always has been. There will always be someone who's going to be out there buying or selling a home. And we're here to make that happen. But I think most importantly is that when we go in these down times, and even when we're in the up times, we have better sharpen our skills. We've got to be really good. We've got to get up early in the morning and practice our scripts, or learning our objection handlings and knowing how to negotiate and learning our scripts and really being top of the top, so that when those opportunities do come, and maybe in down markets, they may not be as abundant as it was before, you will be at the top of the heat, way ahead of that curve, to be able to earn the business to stay in business. And that, to me, go back to basics, sharpen your skills and master it, and get up earlier than anybody else so that you're better than anybody else out there.
I love that. And you really do have to continue that strive, but also really understand that there are new opportunities in business that's really going to make our jobs a lot easier. I mean, the advent of AI, all of the different tools and CRM data that are out there, I think it really is going to help us with our clients succeed even more. And I know that's really important as far as, making sure that we are constantly being creative. So how do you, help your teams foster innovation and make sure they're always up in every aspect of the business? And I know, Sylvia, that Ebby Halliday, with Carolyn, with Chris Kelly, with the people that are on the team there, have really always embraced it. So tell me, how are you able to do that within your company?
I will tell you that that's the best part about being a part of this company. You just mentioned two really great people, Chris Kelly and Carolyn Rawson. And the thing that we have right now going for us is that we do stay on top of technology, and they really know what it takes for our agents to stay on top of what's going on out there. The AI was introduced to us one time at our managers meeting. We have great technology so that our listing presentations are just bar none one of the best. Our marketing department's out there to ensure that the agents have the right look to make them look professional. But the technology that we have here is amazing. And I think that's a benefit of being part of HSOA. It's there and we take advantage of it, but we have to promote it. And we also have to make sure that our agents understand it too, so that they can be taken.
And that is the toughest part, because I mean, I've had a meltdown before. I'm like, oh my God, this is too much. I can't get it. So, but then I figure it out, right? And there's nothing better than when you figure it out, with anything that you're dealing with. Cara, your background's tech. I mean, you said that's where you had your degree was in. And so tell me, how are you able to, inspire and get that creativity out of your agents as well?
Well, interesting enough, I majored in computer science, but then when I started my own company, when you're a small company, you can't afford all of the tools that you can. So it was a shock to me and one of the reasons I joined Intero, and Rishi Bakshi, who's our managing general manager, he was all about innovation, technology. So when I jumped into this role in 2015 as a manager, I was like a kid in the candy store. I mean, I just started going at it. So the key thing, and I see this happening with a lot of team leaders, managers, they don't take the time to learn the technology. It's so important for the manager to know the technology, know how to use it. Also, technology, they'll use one part of it, but they won't really look at all the different aspects of what that tool can do. So for me, I make sure that every time a new tool comes out, it might take me 2 hours, it may take me 6 hours, it might take me a week, but I make sure that I understand that tool. I make sure I train my staff. I use a software called Loom, and I do Loom videos, and then I give it to my staff, and I'll even share it with the agents, and they can see exactly how the tool works with me talking to them. So very, very important. It helps the agents with their productivity. It keeps them engaged, excited. They feel like they're part of something that is moving forward and on top of things. Great for retaining your realtors and your team, and also for recruiting as well. It's huge.
I love it. And I know that because of the size of our companies and the tools and resources that we have so much, and it can be overload. And so, right. And so really kind of understanding and mastering and surrounding yourself with people that, hey, they may be, this is what their space is, this is what their strong is, and this is how they can teach me is really critical. Susan, anything that you want to add?
Just that I think when you want to foster creativity in the workplace, like you need to surround yourself with creative people. We have a really good team, which I'm so excited you're going to get to meet more of them next week. But we have a really good team. We have brainstorming sessions when we identify issues, and I'm very accessible. So I hear a lot of feedback from agents and employees. And so we just sit down and like, we have this issue, like, what do we do? We also, with our agents, we have coffee and conversations so we can, hear how other things are happening, how other agents do different things. So I think it's very important, like who you surround yourself with.
It's so true. I love that. And I love that you're doing un cafecito with your agents to get to mastermind, which is really important for us in our industry. One other area that is really a big focus for all of you, and I'm so proud of you because you are my really boots on the ground when it comes to D&I initiatives. And I really want to know, how do you ensure that your real estate organizations do embrace it, and how has it positively impacted your company's performance? Any of you that want to share that information. Sylvia, how about you? Because I know you really have focused on D&I and do so much work in this space as well.
D&I is very important to all of us, right? I do it with one of my co-officer of this, which is Pamela Young and Sherry Adams. We all kind of worked on this together, but I will tell you one of our success stories, which is important. I think about a year ago or two, there was the survey, the diversity and inclusion, the diversity and inclusion survey that was sent out. And when we got back the results, we were really pleased. We thought it was really a good score. However, we knew that we could always improve, right? We knew that there's a way that there's constant improvement. So what we set up was roundtables with all of our minority employees and just talked. So we had roundtable discussions, and it was a way that everyone could freely talk about ideas of how we could be better, what we could do, how can we embrace inclusiveness and diversity and equity. And I think the employees felt very comfortable in a very safe zone that they could openly talk to our leadership. And our leadership was there, and they were very vulnerable to everything that was said. But we created that kind of courage to speak freely and talk about it. And it was one of the best things we could have ever done. And I think that kind of embracing it so that everyone knows that we're there and we want it to be the best for everybody in that, and that everyone would know about it. The other thing we're trying to do right now is to make sure that the public knows that we're a company for everyone at all price points, that we're out in the community, and our recruitment efforts in our minority agents has just skyrocketed. We're so happy about that. So there's just a lot of work that needs to be done. I mean, it's just like we take one bite at a time, because there's a lot that we want to do. And sometimes, we feel a little overwhelmed, but we are going to do it. And it's just something that we totally embrace throughout the entire company.
Well, and I love that because, there's a couple things that you've done. So for those that don't know, we do pulse surveys we started a year ago, and we just sent out our second round of pulse surveys for all of the home services owned companies. And we want to know, hey, how do you feel as an employee within our organization?
Right.
Do you believe you feel that you're included? Do you feel that you are able to rise in your ranks and your roles? So we send these out, and then we measure our success and put together, hey, what can we do better next year? And you all took actionable items on how you could really help and benefit. And also with hiring Fabian Galloso, a shout out to Fabian, who really now is helping you in the recruitment efforts of really making sure that you also attract agents that are made up of your market, which I love as well. Cara, how about you?
So as I mentioned, I was adopted. All my brothers and sisters were all different nationalities, which was a bit challenging in the 60s and 70s when we were younger, but our mom was really supportive and we were very close, and we still are to this day. When I came to the Bay Area, I actually played basketball and other sports in college. That was nice because when you're on a team, it doesn't matter. You're a team, you have each other's back. Doesn't matter what nationality, nothing matters except we're good people and we're trying to work together to accomplish a goal. The same thing when you work in the workplace, and being in the Bay Area, I'm pretty lucky because we have every different nationality. It's just really great. I don't feel like there's any kind of minority, honestly. But I always keep an eye on it, make sure people are treating everybody well, obviously, and kind of, if something comes up, jump on it right away. Also, our brokerage, the reason I picked it is, again, Rishi Bakshi, who's a general manager, and Intero, we have a lot of events. So we have 6-7 offices. We have about 550 agents. So we'll get together quite a bit, not just in my office, but with all the offices, and people get to know each other, and having events and your culture inside your organization really helps. But obviously it needs to come from the top, and it needs to come from the leaders, and that's where it starts. And that's very, very important.
And Cara, just so you know, Intero is the company you work with is actually a franchise of the Intero companies. And so as a franchise, and for those, Gino Blafari, the CEO who hired me, who just is all about DE&I, he actually started Intero to begin with. And that's always been his passion and always been part of his mission statement. Especially also, he always reminds me that he also loves to focus on women in leadership. And that's one of the reasons that I have this show today is because of Gino, right? And so, for the most part, I can understand how incredible it is to work with an organization that does support it and makes it happen from the very top, which is really the important piece. And Susan, that's where you come in, because you are at the top of that ladder there as president of your organization, and you have made it such a mission that is really important for not just your company, but really for the real estate industry and even for Berkshire Hathaway Home Services as well. So I really commend you. Tell me anything else that you want to add to this discussion.
Well, I have a lot that I could add. I could fill up an hour talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion, as you know, because I think we probably had conversations longer than an hour before about it. But I will start with the beginning. Is it's not always the color of your skin that when we talk about DEI, right? And so, but what we started doing is being upfront at interviews, like, listen, diversity is important to us. Is it important to you? And hearing how those answers are to that question, because if someone is going to be negative, they can be negative down the road. They're not going to pick us. They know what's important to us. But it is important for those of us in the majority, and the onus is on us to make it better for the minorities, right? And so I do take a lot of that responsibility to heart. And many years ago, we had an employee, his name was Chuck. For everybody watching that knows Chuck, they remember him. We all love Chuck. Chuck worked for the building company for over 20 years. And Chuck passed away unexpectedly. We were all devastated. And then we found out that Chuck had a husband that he never felt like he could tell anyone about. And that was, I think it was soon after that I made my first reach out to Teresa and said, what can we do better? Because I want everybody that works with us to feel like they can be their authentic selves. And that, yes, we will love you. If you want to let us in, you don't have to let us in, but if you want to let us in, we're a good safe space. So I think that's really important. I think it's important that people see people that look like them in leadership roles. That's important as well. So we can't lose sight of that.
And you've done a great job really promoting those within your company as well. And I really commend you, Susan, again, because you have called out and said, hey, how can I make this better? And certainly that's where it begins, is really that real sincere, process, that you really want to make a difference. And people feel that, your authentic self. And that is so true. It's diversity of everything, thought, diversity of people, diversity of, every piece.
Yes.
Is what's really important when we're working with
religion, color of your skin, sexual orientation,
everything.
all of
That's
it.
what really makes a big difference.
And
political opinions, everything, right?
Yeah.
We have to have all that within our organization.
Well,
so one of the things
I just want to add one more little piece, Teresa. Sorry. We send out surveys as well every year, and one of our questions is, what are 3 words that describe our corporate culture to you? And overwhelmingly, we got inclusive and diverse. So
I love that.
And this is the first year that it was overwhelmingly those responses. So I'm very pleased with that.
You should be. That's fantastic. Congratulations. Well, let's shift to personal style, because I think it's really important to understand that, sometimes balancing that work and personal life, it really is a challenge for me. And so how do you manage to maintain that healthy work-life balance? And what advice would you give to inspiring leaders in real estate to achieve the same? Because a lot of times we are mentoring and bringing in younger women who, I don't know about you, but for me, that was always difficult to really, because I felt like compelled to really be in the office and do what I needed to do to succeed, but also wanted to be at home celebrating my children's achievements and spending time with my family. So how are you able to, or what advice would you give? And this, I'm going to open it to anyone who wants to answer. And so just, speak up.
I'll go ahead and go first, because this is probably one of my biggest challenges throughout my whole career. So I basically, just to put it out there, I neglected myself. I neglected my relationships, pretty much my entire life, and except for my work. And so I just gave it my all. That's all I did was focus on work pretty much. I mean, I had some fun with friends and that. But anyways, when I turned 57, I hired which was a couple of years ago, I hired a life coach. And I really decided to make changes and take care of myself. And so one thing I would, and a lot of changes have been made and more are coming. I'm very happy with my life. And I would tell my younger self, or I would give advice to other young ladies or young people, is don't forget about yourself. Do something every year, whether it's a life coach, going on a retreat, create space for yourself and take care of yourself. Because at the end of the day, as we get older, things can happen, things settle in, stress, heart attacks, strokes. I mean, I was definitely headed for that direction. So just because of my background and where I came from, and to be able to succeed as a woman, it just feels like we have to work so hard. And, it got to a point where I knew I needed to make a change. So very, very important.
So true. And Cara, what great wisdom, because that is all of us. I mean, I think especially generations that are different, as each generation, I think they learn from each other. Because I see a change in my daughter, for example, but she's still in a very high pressure job and role. And so I want her to know, hey, it's okay. Because sometimes we feel like we have to overachieve to be
Teresa, I'd like to add one more thing to this. It's really important. So one thing that helped me, not just hiring a life coach, but also getting to know myself and getting to know why I wasn't giving back to myself. And once I really understood it, I could eliminate the guilt and shame of knowing that I deserved it. And so I could move forward and really take care of myself. And that was a catalyst right there, because without really understanding myself and understanding that I did deserve it, I don't think I could have made the changes.
You're going to make me cry. I think I can't believe why that just touched me so much. But you're right. You have to understand. And I've had a lot of time in the last 9 months to regroup because I lost my husband. So, Sylvia, how about you?
Well, I'm going to, probably voice a lot of things that Cara said. It's very difficult to take care of yourself. And if you ask any of my agents, they say I don't, but I think I do. But I think I learned along the way is that you have to take care of yourself first before you can take care of other people. You've got to be there for those that you're leading, correct? And I really learned along the way that you have to focus on the now. And the hardest word to me in the dictionary is say no, right? And I think that our company has embraced the 40X book. I get it. So now when I'm asked to do things, because I am involved in the community and I am a part of a lot of organizations, it's easier now to say no to things so that I can say yes to things that are important, right? If it's not a wildly important goal, just say no so that I have time to do the things I need to do, not only for myself, but for my agents, for the people I lead, for my kids, for my family, all of that. So, but that to me, once again, is the hardest thing. Learn to say no so that you can focus on the things that really matter, because if everything matters, then nothing matters, right? You cannot split yourself in so many different ways. You got to make a choice of what it is you want to do and the differences you want to make. And it has taken me a long, long time to get there.
I think that is so true. It really is for all of us. Just making sure that we put in priority what really is important. How about you, Susan?
So to be honest, I am the worst about work-life balance, to be truthful. I've been known to send emails at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and one of our sales managers, I think we talked until 2 o'clock one morning, just chit-chatting, nothing really important. But I will say that it is important to make the time to be present for the things that are important to the people in your life that are important to you. So for me, that's my family, that's my husband, that's my children, my brother and my sisters and my parents. Things that are important for them, I want to show up. I want to be there. So I've always strive to make that a priority. But could I turn my phone off more often? Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's tough though. It's tough because we are in the real estate business. It is a constant 24/7, in almost all businesses, to the point where some companies are saying, hey, no, after certain time, you're not allowed to use the phone for business, right? Which I think sometimes it really makes sense, because we are just so connected to technology that we sometimes need to just go out and check out the sun, check out the views, right? All right, so tell me, and you kind of a little bit touched on this, but it is definitely something that's really important, is what have you done that has really taken you out of your comfort zone? But by doing so, and I know, Sylvia, you talked about it, and I've done that same thing, right? But where did it lead to you? Where did it lead you for, doing that? And Cara, I'll start with you.
All right. So probably in 2000 and when the housing crisis happened, I seemed to gravitate towards people that need help. And so somehow I got sucked into that area. I actually had to shut down. I didn't have to, but I chose to shut down my company. And I worked with an attorney running their loss mitigation for 4 years. One of the hardest things I've ever had to do. I was determined to help people. At one point, actually, most of the time we had about 150 sell dates going at one time. We hardly ever lost a home in foreclosure. I remember working around the clock. I mean, I'd go to work, I'd work all night, and then I would work the next day. And I did that week after week. I remember one time I was going across a train track and I didn't even notice the train was coming. That's how bad it got. So, but we figured it out and we were able to help so many people. There wasn't very much money, obviously, or a financial payoff. However, that's where Intero came in and I was able to refer quite a few short sales. I didn't have time to work on them myself, but at least I received a referral check. And then that also led me to Intero, my current role. If I wouldn't have had that detour for 3 to 4 years, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. But I learned a lot in that area. I learned how to navigate with people emotionally. And, so it was a rough time, but it was very gratifying as well.
Wow, taking a loss of having to close your office and company and then actually working in the business in one of the toughest areas, I could see how challenging, but also how it really kind of helped you develop those skills that today are really extremely important. How about you, Susan?
So I'm pretty well introverted, being financial minded. So I'm not built for sales. It's not my forte. But I had gone to the CFO session at one of the sales conventions, and they talked about their CFO conference. And I was like, cool. So I reached out and I was like, hey, I reached out to Lynn Wethington at the time. And I was like, hey, how do I get more information about the CFO conference? And she's like, well, it's only for the top percent, 50 franchises, but let me see what I can do. So I ended up getting a special invitation because I was close to the geographical location. And so walking into a group that's they've already formed, and they're much, much larger franchises, right? Not knowing anybody, big thinkers, big, minded people. And that was really, really stepping out of my comfort zone. But I learned a lot from them, and I still talk to a lot of them. A lot of the programs we have in place now is because after that first session, they invited me every year. And so I kept continuing to grow. So now I'm part of that clique, but it's not really cliquish. Don't read too much.
But you just feel now comfortable to get involved in something that you were totally scared to go to. I would be so scared too, because it really is, very, threatening, right? When you don't know the people and you don't, what's going to be exchanged, and then the big ideas, which is what makes you better, right? Surrounding yourself with smarter, stronger people. That's really what makes you.
But you know what the trick is? No matter what the size, it's all the same problems.
It's all math. It's all the same
problems.
It's all business.
We all have the same issues. We all have the same. Yeah, it's all the same.
It's so true. It's so true. Sylvia?
Oh, well, let me just say, doing this interview, that's taking me totally out of my comfort zone. So thank you very much.
I love that.
So I can at least say I've done it, and I can.
And you're doing so beautifully. Some people tell me that's so scary for them. For me, it's such a natural. But oh my goodness, I appreciate that. But you're doing fabulous. So how about accomplishments? And we're almost out of time, believe it or not. We've got a couple more minutes. But what is your biggest accomplishment personally or professionally that you want to talk about? And Sylvia, I'll go back to you.
Oh, one of my biggest accomplishments is having the best office ever, having the greatest agents ever, having a great leadership at Ebby Halliday, and just knowing that I come to work with people I enjoy working with. I mean, it is a joy. And I think Carolyn Rawson said that in one of her interviews with you. It is a joy. If you don't have joy in what you're doing, then you're in the wrong business. I have joy every single day working with the people I work with and that I love. So it's just wonderful. I don't know if that's an accomplishment or not.
Oh, I think it's definitely being able to accomplish the office environment to create that joy, because obviously you wouldn't be able to say that, and the people that work with you wouldn't be able to do that either. So I think that's great. Susan, how about you?
I agree that Sylvia, you helped create that joy.
Oh,
So you're part of it. Personally, I'll go personal route. Personally, raising my kid has been the best accomplishment. I'm going to get teary. Being their mom is the most important job I'll ever have. I've said that 10,000 times. The second would be graduating college after starting at night working full time, and it took me 10 years to do it. When my kid was 3, I started and said, I hope to finish before they start, and I did. So that's, yeah.
It is tough, and I also commend you for that, because it really is, when you've got a full-time role and being a mother and everything that entails. I cannot even imagine it. It's tough. It really is. And so again, honor to you for doing that. Cara, how about you?
Probably just going through the ups and downs, owning my own business and hitting rock bottom a few times and being able to bounce back on a personal level. Just at 57, turning my personal life around with balance, and it's still a work in progress. So those are probably my 2 biggest I'd say, accomplishments.
And I love your candor about it and your genuine openness about it. So thank you for sharing that. All right, we're again, I'm going to ask you 2 more questions. I think mentorship is really important, and I know that all of you kind of have talked about how that has been a big part of your role, and perhaps how do we move beyond that, and how can we help others? And Susan, tell me about yours initially, because I know that you did have someone that just kind of really gave you a lot of support and really believed in you, and has taken to you where you are today.
She did. Barbara Beazley was my mentor, and soon after I started working for her, she was like, I think this girl is a spy, because she's too good at what she's doing. She's got to be, doing bigger things. She decided that she wanted me to be her successor. She knew that her health was failing, and we have to have succession. We all have to have succession plans, right? So she handpicked me, and she went to Bill, and Bill said, well, she doesn't have a college degree. And she's like, I don't care. This is who I want. And he's like, get her to get a college degree. And so I started going to school at night. They supported that. And then she started teaching me, encouraging me. She's the best mentor that anybody could have ever had. She taught me a lot about the world and everything, and construction and real estate and everything.
And I know you've passed that on to a lot of the people that work with you, because that's very evident. And I've been told that by many of the people that are part of your team. So thank you, Susan, because I think that's where it starts, right? When we see that role modeling, it helps us also realize, I got to do the same and give back. Cara, how about you?
I wish I had a mentor when I started out. I wish I had a mentor in my 20s, 30s, 40s. Finally, I came to Intero. I mean, I read a lot of books. I went to Tony Robbins. I did those kind of things. I learned the hard way a lot through my career. So I do wish I had a mentor, and I would strongly suggest that, younger people look for that. I did run into it when I joined Intero, when I took over this branch in 2015 with Rishi. So he's been a great mentor for me. So that's where I'm at.
Awesome. Sylvia?
Well, I will tell you, and I've watched a lot of your programs, but my mother, I'm sorry to say, was my best mentor. She was an amazing woman. She was a stay-at-home mom, and each morning when I would go to school and she'd give us a kiss on the cheek right as we're leaving to go to school, she would always say, "You have got to work harder than anyone else. You have got to be out there. You got to work harder." And I will tell you that she said that because we were the first Hispanic family that lived in this neighborhood. And there were not that many Hispanic families that were in the Catholic school that I went to when I first got there. So she just always said, just work harder than anybody else. You can do it. And I think she was preparing me for whatever obstacles were going to come my way. And I mean, I have to go back to what Susan said, you have to have a strong mindset, right? And I think that she slowly was imbuing that in me at the very beginning when I was very small. And the other perfect person that I thought was a great mentor is Ebby Halliday herself. She was a terrific role model to probably everybody who ever joined the company. And I have to tell you that when you look up at someone like her, you don't want to let her down and you don't want to let your mom down. So you're just going to do the best you can.
Gosh, Ebby Holly, I never knew her, but she's really come up more than once. I mean, and during the conversations, Leslie Ruta Smith. I mean, there's so many people that have mentioned her as a role model. All right, two more last questions, real quickly. I'm not a big book reader, but I've become a great book listener. So tell me, what book would you recommend to our audience that has really kind of meant the world to you, real quickly, as we wrap up? Sylvia, I'll start with you.
Well, I am a real Stoic philosophy major. I love Stoicism. I love philosophy. And one of the books that I've read that has really made a big impact on me is Obstacles Are the Way. And I believe that is because, you know what, we all run into obstacles. We all run into adversities. And if we don't embrace them and if we don't learn from them, you don't grow. And so that to me is that kind of mindset. It's kind of keeping focused on what you need to do and understanding that obstacles are good because guess what? You get to learn from them.
I like that. I have not read that one. Susan?
I don't really read a whole lot for personal growth. I read it to give my mind a break, but Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, and it's all small stuff, is the best if you have anxiety and worry a lot about things. Read that, it'll change your mind.
And it's such a small book. It's a great read. I love it. I love it. How about you, Cara?
I would suggest The Ride of a Lifetime by Bob Iger. He's was the CEO of Disney. Really talks about leadership and defines leadership the way that he managed. It really showed me that leadership has nothing to do with accomplishment, title, or anything like that. And most people don't really understand leadership.
Oh, that one's one I haven't read either. All right, quotes as we wrap up. Sylvia, I'll start with you.
I have to go back to mindset again. You have the power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. And that is from Marcus Aurelius, another Stoic philosopher and Roman emperor.
I have not heard that one. Susan.
Mine is a poem by William Blake called London, and I'll just give you one little snippet. It's the mind forged manacles that I hear, and that's the shackles that you put on your own mind, like when you're to overcome things. And is that something that I've created in my mind? Most likely it is.
Oh,
love it.
Wow. Love it. And as we wrap, Cara?
Okay, so this quote, I think I figured out myself a while ago. So the purpose of life for me is not to achieve, but to make positive changes, to be productive and to impact others in a way that will create a better future. Everything else falls into place.
Yeah, that's great.
I think it's awesome. And I really have enjoyed hearing from each of you. And I want to thank you because, again, you are such a powerhouse in our industry, and I really appreciate all that you are doing. I love this quote because it reminds me of you, as leadership is not about being in charge. It's about taking care of those in your charge. And I love that by Simon Sinek. I think that's a great quote, and it certainly describes each and every one of you. And thank you so much for each of you participating and also being part of our show today. I really appreciate you watching. Please join us on September 13th right here on this channel as when we zoom in on another team of great leaders, and watch our new series, Diversity Matters, which is going to air on September 23rd as well. Thank you again. Remember to join our Facebook page. The episodes are also found on YouTube. And my saying, always bring up other women up the ladder with you as you climb to the top. When we do that, we all rise together. So bye-bye, everyone. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you, Teresa. Yes.
Bye-bye, y'all.
Yeah.
Bye, Susan. Bye,
Thank you.
Cara.
Bye, you guys.